do a couple of sync claps here so we're all synced up. Oh! Oh! That was real. That was unfucking raw. That was sexual. Yo, who the fuck is MattCMG? Do I look like the kind of guy who can pull off a dad hat? I don't think so. This isn't really a dad. I guess it's kind of a dad hat. Do I look like a dad hat fella? I don't think so. I look like a fucking loser, though. Hey, paisanos, and welcome back to Internet Idiocracy, the show where we make fun of and critique the dumbest aspects of internet culture. I'm your host, MattCMG, and today, I have a slightly more personal video for you. Don't worry, we still have the funny memes and shit. I won't get too gay on you. Texting in the middle of a video because I'm a genius. I'm a stand-up guy, even. I know it's a bit of a milquetoast fucking, moist, critical, Mudahar type take, right? A common sense take that really should not need to be said out loud because it's literally just common fucking sense. But the internet has created a culture of being overly critical, and while the definition of what that truly means is up for discussion, it's kind of ruined some shit for me, and it's been bugging me a lot recently. The internet perpetuates this problem of criticism going too far, and I think there's no better example of that than Pokemon. Today, I will be telling you all how the internet caused me to fall out of love with what was once one of my favorite series of all time, and how it can happen to you and to any big series out there. So smash that motherfucking like button, or I will tie you to a tree and feed you to the fucking wolves! And let's get right into why I don't make Pokemon videos anymore. Yo, but I kind of fucks with it though. So a few years back, I gained a bit of notoriety for some of my Pokemon videos, specifically my Defending Ash Ketchum series, so I'd be willing to gauge that some of you are probably subscribed to this channel because of those videos. Pokemon in general has always been a big part of my channel for a long time, and it's mostly because Pokemon has just been a big part of my life for as long as I can remember. Wanna know how much of a fucking loser Pokemon fan I was? Wanna know how much of a fucking soy boy I was back in the day? This is not the only Pokemon hat that I own. I own two others that are very similar to this one, and I used to wear it unironically to school. To high school. I don't know how the fuck I didn't get bullied to shit. But lately, within the past few years, I've kind of fallen out of love with Pokemon, and I think it's indicative of a much larger problem that the internet perpetuates. The decline in my love for Pokemon began around 2019, and just with that, I think you all know where this is going. But for those of you who are functioning human beings and don't know where this is going, allow me to explain, in an explanation that's way longer than it fucking needs to be. So back in 2019, Pokemon Sword and Shield were first announced, which obviously got fans excited because it was the first home console main series Pokemon game. The series had been held back by the limitations of handhelds for so long that fans were eager for a new home console release to really let the series spread its wings. And I was certainly one of those people. I remember watching the Pokemon Day Direct in my college cafeteria in between classes and getting genuinely excited for these games. And for a while, things seemed pretty promising until E3, when it was revealed that not every Pokemon would be coded into the games, which sparked Dexit, the term for fans who advocated for the return of the National Dex. This was truly the beginning of the end for many fans, and though at the time I didn't know it, it was also the beginning of the end for me. Back when Dexit first became a thing, I was of the opinion that yeah, it sucks fat, wet, milky ass that not every Pokemon will be in the game, but that people were seriously overreacting to it, with Dexit extending from just the National Dex to every tiny thing wrong with the series. I made an entire Internet Idiocracy episode back when this was still topical, where I defended Game Freak and all of the targets of Dexit advocates, and while in hindsight I no longer agree with everything I said in that video, it was quite soy of me in hindsight, I still stand by the point that a lot of the criticisms tangential to Dexit were a vast over-exaggeration. When things like hashtag fuck you Game Freak began trending, and when it somehow became okay to place 100% of the blame on the faces of the company, and to stop treating Masuda and Omori with any modicum of respect, it became easy to see what the Nat Dexers truly stood for. If all you saw was the harassment that went on, then you'd think that that's all these people were out to do, which was what got me and many other Pokemon fans to speak out against Dexit. Not because we necessarily wanted the Dex to be cut or wanted the series to keep its many problems, but because we saw shit getting out of hand and wanted to put an end to it. I was an avid defender of Sword and Shield back during this time, not because I disagreed with any of the major criticisms, but because the people making said criticisms were doing so in the worst way possible. I know it's a bit cringe to say it was toxic, and I do hate how overused that term is, But it's basically what it amounted to. Like, it's fine to want every Pokemon to be in the game, right? That's a completely reasonable ask. But as soon as we start, bitching about a tree having a shitty texture, or making up conspiracy theories about the intentions of the people making the game, is when you start to lose me. The shit went from, sorry guys, we know you'll be upset with this, but due to development difficulties, not every Pokemon will be making it into the game. And this somehow turned into,
They did this on purpose because they hate Pokemon fans. Game Freak is ruining Pokemon on purpose to spite us.
Dexit was the Pokemon fandom at its absolute worst. It made me embarrassed to be a Pokemon fan. But that wasn't where I fell out of love with it. See, I naively thought that once Sword and Shield came out and we had time to sit on it for a while, we would collectively realize that many of these problems weren't really all that bad in hindsight and would probably be fixed in later games. In another video that I made about Sword and Shield, I had a segment where I talked about how a lot of the stuff in this game laid the groundwork for the future of the series, and it's something that seems to be somewhat coming true with Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet. People notoriously hated Black and White when they first came out, but now they're considered to be some of the best games, and so I thought that once these people saw the same things that I did in Sword and Shield, that this whole Dexit thing would eventually blow over like every other Pokemon controversy did before. I was very wrong. Dexit in name eventually did go away, but the ideas behind it still had their lingering effects. When the DLC for Sword and Shield was announced, we had people bitching and moaning about Pokemon's corporate greed. When Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were announced, we had people complaining about the art style and how this is all Game Freak's fault somehow, even though they didn't even make this one. When Legends Arceus was announced, people were back on the whole graphic spiel, and rightfully so, because that game kinda looks like fucking ass. And most recently, when Scarlet and Violet were announced, everyone was back to complaining about the same shit they complained about with Sword and Shield. I think you see a clear pattern here. Though Dexit as a movement is long gone, people from that crowd never really grew out of their disdain for what Pokemon has become and will find anything to bitch about, even if it's the exact opposite of the thing they were bitching about last time. Every time there's new Pokemon news announced, I always quote tweet it saying, "Pokemon fans seething right now," because you know what they say, nobody hates Pokemon quite like Pokemon fans. And on a tangentially related note, why is it that every time there's some fucking, 40-minute to an hour-long video essay that goes viral about why Pokemon Sword and Shield suck, or something like that, it always somehow turns into like a fucking retrospective about the last 10 years of the series? Like, bro, we get it. Things have been on a steady decline ever since things went 3D, but we already fucking know this. Anybody who's been even remotely interested in Pokemon already fucking knows this. These people literally can't articulate their point without turning to the corporate side of things, and they all have the exact same line in them at one point or another. Pokemon is a business, and they have to make money. Like, yeah, obviously, dickhead, quit wasting my fucking time and get to the fucking point. Anyways, I soon realized that Dexit was never going away. The Pokemon fandom will never know peace again, because even if we get the most perfect Pokemon game ever, that is everything these people have ever wanted, they would still somehow bitch about it. Dexit ruined Pokemon. Not because of the Dex cut itself, even though that does suck wet ass, but because now it is impossible to avoid all of this negative bullshit even if you wanted to. And I'm not even like this, no negativity, bro. Just let people enjoy things. I'm not even that kind of guy, right? I love being negative and criticizing things and making fun of the people who ignore any and all negativity, but there is such a thing as too much. Pokemon will never outrun Dexit, so discourse around the series will never be civil ever again. And the craziest thing is that the more time goes on, the more I start to agree with the Dexit sentiment. I completely skipped BDSP and Legends Arceus because by the time they came out, I had been blackpilled on the problems plaguing the series, problems that I once defended out of spite. I was always pro-National Dex, but the more games in the series that come out without it, the less hope that I have for it ever coming back. I was always pro-Battle Frontier and pro-post-game, but the more they exclude those things in each game, the less likely I am to enjoy it. I once defended the concept of DLC replacing the need for third versions, but now I see how overpriced this DLC was and how predatory it truly is. In trying to defend these things in a soyish attempt to trick myself into believing my favorite series wasn't getting worse, I ended up convincing myself of the complete opposite. This does not mean that I now agree with schizos like Distant Kingdom, who will quite literally cherry pick the most minor details to blow out of proportion while he's sitting there adding fucking nude feet mods to underage characters. A lot of the big faces of the Dexit movement are cringe, and the continued harassment of Game Freak staff and the conspiracies around them are fucking asinine. But the core criticism fandoms are still pretty valid, and now I can't help but see the series in that light. My problem was never really necessarily the games getting worse, but rather the backlash from it and the excessive appraisal of it from the other end of the spectrum being the only things that you ever see. Gee willikers, Chief, I can't believe they just revealed Wiglet. This is insane news that I am definitely going to comment on, and I'm going to only buy this game because I like the cute Pokemon creatures. Wiglet? This is literally just a reskin of Diglett. They're creatively fucking bankrupt now, man. The fact that Pokemon will never be able to live this shit down is what truly made me fall out of love with it. Pokemon has run out of ideas. You should fucking die, I think. New trailers have been dropping for Scarlet and Violet in the past few months. You know, the games are coming out pretty soon, and in some ways they look pretty promising, but I think this is the first Pokemon reveal cycle where I have felt absolutely nothing. You know, back in the day when there were new starters revealed, I was all up in that shit. I had a favorite immediately. But as soon as I saw the Gen 9 starters, I went, okay. Like, I don't even hate the designs. I just felt nothing when I saw them. I absolutely can't stand the naming conventions of this gen so far either, with Smoliv and Lechonk having these fucking shitty meme-inspired Reddit names. Oh, he is an olive and he is small with an O, so he is Smoliv. It's a dog and he's made of dough. His name is Fido. Like, yeah, real fucking creative there, guys. Way to dig deep. I get that Lechonk is named after Lechon, which is like Spanish for pig or something, but they knew what they were fucking doing with this dated meme. The Redditification of Pokemon. Please give me Reddit gold! The games being open world sounds great, but when you learn that there is no level scaling, meaning that there is technically an intended order for you to beat the gyms in, it kinda defeats the fucking purpose. I won't spoil anything that hasn't been officially revealed yet, but I've been reading the leaks, and every time you think there's something great there, there's always something bad to cancel it out. It's one step forward and two steps back with this game, and while I will obviously wait for them to come out to pass judgment, I am certainly not making the mistake of buying them on launch like I did last time. Anyways, my point is that I am super cynical about this new generation, but would I have been had Dexit not happened and ruined all Pokemon discourse? And bro, don't even get me started on the anime. Ever since Ash lost the Kalos League in like fucking 2016, Jesus Christ, that's been a long fucking time, the Anipoke community has never known peace. This one unflattering piece of promo art absolutely ruined any possible discourse around the Sun and Moon anime. I absolutely refuse to call the 2019 series by Pokemon Journeys because that's stupid, when it really should be called Pokemon Missed Potential. World Championships ain't doing too hot, Chief. Relationship ended with Pokemon. Now One Piece is my best friend. I realize that not everybody in my audience is a Pokemon fan, you know, not everybody is that soy, but this doesn't just apply to Pokemon, because like I said in the beginning of the video, it can happen to any series. I used Pokemon as a really long example because I can speak from experience, and I feel that it's a pretty unique one, but it also applies more universally. You know, I'm sure that Halo fans are feeling the same thing with 4 and 5 not meeting expectations, and Infinite being the absolute shit show that it is. What few Marvel fans are left that haven't been brainwashed by corporate marketing and Soylent are probably feeling this right now in this post-Endgame era of the MCU. But like we've seen throughout my Pokemon example, it's not even necessarily a decline in quality that can trigger this, because for me, it's often the cultures and fan bases around these properties that make it hard for me to like them anymore. Remember when everybody loved Rick and Morty during its first 2 seasons, but as soon as the fan base got pretentious, it became cringe to like the show? Openly liking anime when I was a teenager was like wearing a sign that said, "Hey, bully me," because the culture around it was not seen as cool. Games like Minecraft, Fortnite, Five Nights at Fredward's, and others all started out as really popular and fun, but as soon as children invaded the fan base, they became cringe, only for everybody to come around on them again as being great because of nostalgia. For whatever reason, the cultural tides change on things all the time, and sometimes you find yourself just being part of the crowd. The moral of the story, though, is that there's something so incredibly depressing about seeing something you love become the worst thing ever, whether it be because of its quality or because of the fan base, and to fall out of love with it is the worst feeling ever. And on that note, let's end the video. I realize that this probably came off as a soyish, unhinged rant, and it probably is, but it's just something I've been struggling to articulate for a while, so it's good to get it off my pasty, deformed chest. That's real, by the way. I actually have a chest deformity. It's actually a fucking problem. I'm dying. I'm a sickly being. I am a sickly little bitch. Hey! Was this video funny enough? I feel like it wasn't. Whatever. If it's not, here's some memes. Boom, boom. Cunts. Anyways, that's it. Anyways, that's it for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, Patreon, all that bullshit. I've been MattCMG, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
It's Pikachu!
It's the fairy!
Yo!
Pokemon masters, your heart beats faster, training for the top, cause you know you can't stop. You're training king now, Pokemon power, wow. The power of a master, oh, before you will bow. But don't let it get to your head, young trainer. The road is long and filled with danger. Everyone says they deserve to be number one. Can't stop you. The answer is none, because I've never seen an expert like you. Wanna know the difference between Mewtwo and Mew? Someone who can tell you the type Pikachu, and someone who can tell you which Pokemon's new. First you kick it in Kanto, then you head to Johto. Don't know where to go, try to go with the flow. Everybody knows how the fever is growing. Watch out, next stop might be Hoenn. But even that's not where Pokemon will end. There's even more adventures right around the bend. I'm not doing the rest of this. Kill me. Kill me, please. Shoot me in the head and make me die. Make me die. Make me die. Make me die. I want death.